Welcome, my friends, back to Nebraska. But not Nebraska the way you would typically think. Where we're at now is the far western part of Nebraska, right up next to Wyoming and Colorado and South Dakota. And as you can see, the landscape has truly begun to change. Behold, my friends, the incredible and historic Chimney Rock. I have never been here before, but this is an exciting place to see with my own eyes. But if it's even a little exciting to look at today, it was 10,000 times more exciting to the travelers along the old Oregon Trail. To those pioneers heading overland in their covered wagons, this was an absolutely spectacular sight, and a very important one, because it marked the transition from the endless hundreds of flat miles to the east, the Great Plains and prairies that are now all that farmland in western Kansas and Iowa, all the way stretching back to the Mississippi River, and the beginning of the rocky and much more difficult terrain of the West. The vast majority of the travelers on the Mormon Trail, California Trail, and the Oregon Trail were following the North Platte River. And on taking that route, this would be the first true mountain they would reach, the first true symbol and sign that they had reached the far west and that the terrain was about to get much more difficult. These were the people with the oxen and the covered wagons, and mostly mules actually in real life, and covered wagons, making their way to the Willamette Valley in Oregon or down to California to the gold fields, or in the Mormons' case, on their way to Salt Lake City. The Mormons, of course, largely coming with hand carts that they pulled across the prairie. And let me tell you, the prairie looks flat, but it was really anything but. It's covered with ruts, rocks, soft dirt that wagon wheels would just sink right into. Even the quote-unquote easy part was no easy going. So while Chimney Rock signaled the end of the struggle through the great, endless plains and prairies with no shade and unvarying terrain, it also meant things were going to get a whole lot tougher and more unfriendly. Like I said, I have never been out here to Chimney Rock before, so I'm out on this trail here trying to get a little bit of a closer view than you get from the road, but I broke the first rule of hiking. I'm wearing shorts here in the tall grass, and pokey things just keep on getting me. Yikes! And I want to complain until I remember the people traveling on the Oregon Trail had to walk through hundreds and hundreds of miles of this stuff. I mean, I alone have just driven over 1,400 miles from Virginia. And you have to imagine some of the people who came out to the Oregon Trail probably started from the East Coast, meaning they walked through all of this and never complained once. Well, yeah, right, we know they complained. They probably complained every day. There were probably a lot of swear words around here. Oh my gosh, it almost doesn't seem worth it to keep hiking this trail, but let me tell you, this is a much better view than you get from the official visitor center that Nebraska built way out there somewhere near the road. You have to come down this weird little dirt road to this trailhead here to get really close, which you can find by looking up the Chimney Rock Cemetery. Wow, dude, look at this. It is crazy standing here because you know for a fact this is where thousands of pioneers came and stopped right here, watering their mules and horses and oxen, what was left of them, down by the river, and coming up here to Chimney Rock to inscribe their names, thousands of them, all over the base of it. For the people coming behind them in other wagon trains, or people who had to be left behind for a little while in various forts. Some of them probably because they were no good taggers. At one time it was said that you could read inscriptions from those pioneers all the way around Chimney Rock, 360 degrees around it. But other than a few very faint traces, which I suspect are probably modern, I don't see any names here. And I guess that's to be expected because they say in the visitor center that they're all completely worn away. I doubt that. There's probably still some remaining if you have the time and energy to roam over the whole thing, but I have neither. Because as inspiring, pun intended, as Chimney Rock is, and as short as that 10-minute trail here was, Chimney Rock is really just sort of a side quest for me this morning, a warm-up, if you will. And in a minute, we've got to be moving on. I should say, Chimney Rock is located right near Scotts Bluff, Nebraska, which is another important pioneer stop that has its own monument and little trails at it. But I didn't want to linger around here too long today because one day I plan on doing a whole Oregon Trail thing, and you'll be invited along too. So I guess really, this is spoilers. Time for us to get out of here. All right, we're rolling down the highway now. Tom Petty on the stereo. I've never been to this part of Western Nebraska. but it looks pretty nice. Classic small towns and the American road, all leading us to our next destination. Welcome to the small town of Alliance, Nebraska. You've never heard of Alliance, Nebraska before? Well, you should have. It's only home to one of the greatest roadside attractions in America. But first, look at this. It looks like Alliance is getting ready for the Pharaoh's Fury. They're setting up some kind of fun carnival here where you can win a Morty. Look at this. They're gonna have meatballs and pretzels. Lucky. This is the kind of small town I always pull over for. This is the reason I like to travel and see America, see all the American heartland towns. And usually there's not much going on in them, but apparently Alliance is about to kick off tonight. It's a beautiful spot. Dang, this is rad, dude. Look at their entire main street is full of this carnival. I can already see food vendors selling their wares to the townies. Kinda sorry we won't be here tonight. Luckily, I'll be able to easily console myself because the next place we're going is just outside of town and it is truly magical. One of the greatest roadside attractions of all time. We've finally made it to Carhenge, which is exactly what it sounds like. 38 cars painted gray and arranged to recreate the magic of Stonehenge right here in America, in Western Nebraska. I bet the Druids never saw this coming. Or did they? I have known about Carhenge for years. I have always wanted to come here and never been able to pull it off. I'm sure many of you are the same way, but I don't often travel through Western Nebraska. But to see this, it's totally worth it. Now you might be wondering, what in the world is a replica of Stonehenge made out of amazing American automobiles doing here in Nebraska? Apparently, it all started in 1987 with a family reunion of all things. Specifically, it was unveiled at the Reinders family reunion, and Jim Reinders had the genius idea of recreating the magic of Stonehenge here in Nebraska, because apparently he was a petroleum engineer who had been living in England for something like 7 years, and he would have liked to have built his Stonehenge West out of stone as well. But unfortunately, Western Nebraska doesn't have a lot of stone lying around. But what they did have was old junky cars. Like I mentioned, 38 cars to be specific, and they used to be mixed between American and foreign cars until I think people got ornery and they replaced the foreigners with the locals. This is incredible. I have always wanted to come here. The only thing that's missing is another person to share it with. What? Well, no offense to you, Julio. It's just that London, my son, was supposed to come and meet me out here, but unfortunately he got sick for a while. He's better now, I hear. You can do what? An ancient druidic ceremony? Uh-oh. Stand back, everyone. Watch out, everybody! Julio's unleashing the power of the stones! I mean, cars! Just happened?
Dad, I'm here.
What in the world, London? Oh, wait, you don't have COVID anymore, do you?
No.
Oh, he's all good.
Whoa, what is this place? And how did I get here?
It's Carhenge, and Julio performed an ancient druidic ceremony for you.
Ah, thanks, Julio. A lot cheaper than plane tickets.
This is so awesome. Bucket list style, because I've been looking at pictures of Carhenge for years, and you know what? In most of the photographs I've seen, they make this place look like it's way out in the middle of nowhere, out in a field, kind of like Cadillac Ranch in Texas. But that could not be farther from the truth, because not only is Carhenge basically right off of a main highway, right outside of Alliance, there's even a cute little parking lot here, and a snack bar. Well, snack bar slash gift shop slash hangout pit stop and information booth, that is.
And it's very nicely air-conditioned inside.
Look at this, they got all manner of Carhenge souvenirs in here. They got the shirts, the mugs, the stickers, the hats. Yeah, look at that. There's even some information about what model and year all the cars are. And look at how many visitors from around the country have come out here to Carhenge. One more for Orange County here. Look at this, there's an almost park-like atmosphere out here at Carhenge. There's flowers, and look at this, sponsors and picnic tables. That is not typical of most wacky pieces of American folk art. And it wasn't always the case inside the snack bar over there. You'll notice some old Save Carhenge memorabilia. That's because this place was not always as popular as it is today. When old Jim Reinders first set up his Carhenge after that family reunion, it was considered quite the eyesore out here on the edge of town. And many of the citizens and a lot of the folks in the government here in Alliance, Nebraska wanted this this eyesore demolished. Thankfully, for every negative Nelly, there were 5 other people who wanted to save Carhenge, and eventually the site was actually purchased by the City of Alliance and is now run by the local municipality. It has also flourished by adding a few other attractions over the years. What do we got over here? We've got a sunflower windmill blowing in the breeze, or it was for a second there. Come on, blow in the breeze, darn you. There we go. Actors. And some more folk art over here. What do we got, a giant fish? Ah, I see, a spawning salmon by Jeff Sandhurst from Canada. Ooh, looks like this spawning salmon is made out of some VW bug parts. I can definitely see a VW bug hood on there. And I gotta say, this salmon is hot. To the touch, to the touch. Oh man, no one ever thinks I'm handsome. Over here we've got a giant dinosaur looming up over the prairie. Again, looks like he might be made of car parts. He's got a bird nest up in his mouth. Oh, and here it is, the grave of the foreign cars that used to be part of Carhenge. Here lie 3 bones of foreign cars. They served their purpose while Detroit slept. Now Detroit is awake and America is great. Oh, Carhenge, it's the gift that keeps on giving out here. And we're not done yet because there's more cars sticking up out of the ground on yonder hill. Ah, yes, there's just something so great, so American about cars sticking out of the ground. I mean, after all, what did our forefathers sweat and toil and risk their lives for, if not for us to have the freedom and the land to do this? Look at this one, says the Ford Seasons. Get it? I wonder what all those pioneers would have thought if they could have seen this and come across this when they were crossing the plains in their covered wagons.
Hey, look.
What?
A covered station wagon.
You're right, it is a covered station wagon. Ah, we are just like the pioneers after all. I have to admit, that is actually pretty clever. The covered station wagon. They should have more of those all across the West. Oh, and will you look at this? The one and only painted Cadillac ranch-style graffitied automobile. Well, looks like Claire was here. Paul loves Mary. That's good to know. Grace and Bruce and, oh, Tarzan was here. Don't tell Jane. Let's see, who else loves who else? Oh, Justin and Laura. Wait a minute. That's not me, Allie, I swear. I don't even know a Laura. Let's get out of here, London, before Allie kills me. All in all, a sick place to visit. And it's completely free, although they do accept donations in the gift shop in the form of this little car. Pretty awesome. There we have a time capsule car right there. They're gonna disinter that in 2053 or something like that. I'll probably be dead by then, sadly. Let's not think about that today, though. Because today, especially now that London's with me, is a good day to learn about the pioneers and quirky roadside attractions, and the next place on our list, supposedly, perfectly combines them both. Welcome to Dobby's Frontier Town, a phenomenal DIY pioneer town created in his front yard by a man named Kenneth Dobby Lee. He built or collected a dozen buildings here, transforming the side of the road, once again just outside Alliance, Nebraska. Seriously, we're only like 2 minutes from the Carhenge, into an amazing roadside wonder. Oh, even from the road, you could tell this is gonna be good. I love old hand-painted signs so much. They rev my engine. Wow. Look at this. This is incredible. Now, I know just a couple of days ago, we were at Harold Warp's Pioneer Village, also in Nebraska, which might be one of the most impressive tourist attractions I have ever been to in my life. Dobby's place here is just as impressive, but a different flavor of impressive, if you know what I mean. Because rather than making his fortune somewhere else and coming back and, you know, using his money to build this place, he used his bare hands. This is incredible. Look at this old cistern pump here. Ah, looks like this is the entrance to the church. Oh, and wow, that is a good-sized church right there. This must have been one of the buildings he saved and moved here. I'm glad that over the years, America's had a number of these old guys who decided it was important to preserve these old buildings. All right, and now that we're edified, look at this, Rex hamburgers. Buy them by the sack. So apparently, this is made of an old cold storage from an old grocery store nearby, and it's a replica of the Rex hamburger shop that used to be in town. The guy apparently deep fried everything, all the meat, in the same grease, which he never changed. I don't think you'd get away with that today. This whole row of buildings are all little replicas. The whole place is made up of little replica buildings, but sometimes built out of cannibalized pieces of historic buildings from nearby. All right, let's go see what London's doing. Look at this one. We got a combination dentist's office with everything from the old chair and drills to the old teeth, and the doctor's office in the back. Don't worry, Jimmy. We'll take care of your black eye. Black eye? Lady, my arm came off. Little Jimmy was throwing the baseball too hard. Let that be a lesson to you, London. Never try. We were just getting an impromptu tour from this guy who told us this is an old surgery table. They've got old wheelchairs from the local hospital and a lot of bedpans. All local, presumably. Gives you a little local color. He also told us that this thing, I've never heard of this before, is called a boot saver. It's for old men to use as a cane. And then this comes out right around groin level to save you from getting stuff on your boot. You guys figure it out. Our tour guide is very funny, very friendly, but not exactly perfectly G-rated. All right, now we've got the furniture store and funeral parlor, which were apparently once the same thing. I mean, think about it. Your carpenter who would make your furniture was the guy probably who would end up making your casket, like these ones in here, which all look very old and very real. I hope they dug these out of people's attics and not out of the ground. Look at that. That is an actual human skeleton right there. Of a female, apparently. This is one of those unknown people that would be left behind. The county would pay for a funeral and then donate the body to medical science. Ugh. Well, sell the bones anyway. Oh no. This one's a baby coffin. And that's not where the gruesomeness ends. Because look in here. An old embalming table. Oh, imagine this, London. You're just learning to work with wood. You just want to make some cabinets. Then you start making caskets and people are like, come on. Don't you offer any embalming services? Mm-hmm. How'd you like to embalm someone?
I'm okay.
Smell right here. Smell. Something smells horrible. Like it legit smells like embalming fluid. We gotta get out of here, dude. That's gross. That is gross. It actually smells like formaldehyde and death in there. Oh, I need fresh air. Ah, that's better. The smell of Nebraska manure. Wow, look at this. This is an actual shoe shop. They dragged in from town. Look at that. We were just told that a family of 8 used to live inside this little cobbler shop with all this equipment. I'm confused as to what's real or not real. Our guide is very colorful and he has roped us into being part of a tour group now.
And they would take and wrap leather over the top of it and hand sew it. Because they didn't have sewing machines back then when this guy had all these farms. Later on, we got the sewing machine.
I'd show you more of what he's telling all of us. It's just that he's not always G-rated. This is an amazing place, though, and apparently they've doubled the number of buildings since Dobby died. So even though the founder of this place may be gone now, apparently his little town keeps on growing. As it does, they've collected more and more artifacts, like the ones in the old print shop here. Pretty awesome. Theoretically, the tours are supposed to be self-guided here with this little booklet that you can get for a $10 donation, but we found a guide who's really excited about talking, so our exploration might be somewhat limited today. Ooh, look at this. The old jail over here. I'm sneaking away from the group to see if I can get a peek. Wow, look at this. The old sheriff's desk, the old lawman's hats, the old black and white striped prisoners' uniforms. Those look like Halloween costumes, not quite authentic. Check out those old leg irons and this definitely authentic metal cage here that served as the lockup. Old heavy-duty locks, bars on the window, even this bottle window. I understand and appreciate. But what I don't understand is how come the only prisoner is this baby? What did this baby do? He must have been bad.
Yeah, I was bad. I was a real bad baby. And I'm still a bad baby. Bad to the bone. Baby.
We gotta make sure he never escapes.
Check this out. The old blacksmith shop with plenty of blacksmith tools. Somebody emailed me once, told me they were a blacksmith and wanted to teach me a little bit. I forget what was going on. I think some of Allie's health problems. So I never did it. But maybe it's not too late, London. You and I can learn to be blacksmiths. Or in England, blacksmiths. Our tour group has moved on. We are now learning about the bordello. Good, wholesome family fun. This mom was trying to explain to the kids that this is where men went to be comforted by women when they were lonely. And the guide says they're called prostitutes. Guess we're not using any euphemisms today. Ooh, hello, ma'am. How are you? What are you doing up here? What are you pointing at? Oh, she wants us to take a bath first. I guess it's good to be clean. London, what are you doing in here? This isn't a place for children. I was just visiting. I was checking to make sure she was all right. Goodbye, ma'am.
Who was that, Laura?
Shh, we're not supposed to speak of Laura. No more filming in there. It's too boring. Hello. That doesn't work at all. All right, downstairs is easily, I think, the most impressive area in the whole town. Look at this saloon. Think about how many lessons I can teach my son now that he's here with me. Look, we can learn to gamble. You already know how to play more card games than me, but I'll tell you the secret of gambling. Throw caution to the wind. Never think about the future. And look at this. Later we can practice our spitting, son. Plus, we can finally teach you to drink.
What'll it be, Mac?
1 sarsaparilla, please.
We don't got no sarsaparilla in here. Just liquor.
Oh, just liquor, huh? Oh, well, you want any liquor? Just kidding. Too young, too young.
He didn't look too young to me. I started drinking liquor when I was only about 4 years old.
Pretty amazing. Even more amazing that they've kept this place going since Dobby passed away in 2009. There are actually a surprisingly large number of guys across the United States that have a little bit of property who have done similar things to this, built their own little village or historical town. But usually when they die, it'll fall into disrepair and it'll get bulldozed or just lost to the ravages of time. Or sometimes the local government will come in and be like, tear that down. So it's pretty neat to see that this is still growing and that the town is in full support of it. Ah, look at this old chuck wagon. You might be asking yourself, who was Chuck? Well, Chuck was the man who used to own a wagon and he'd deliver all the meats. And he'd cook up the meats and make them into a stew. He'd put beans in them and then he'd lick the pan, stick his hand in it, serve it to the cowboys. And that's why we still call these dirty wagons Chuck wagons. You believe that?
Doesn't Chuck just mean food?
Yes. Wow, you can see they're still expanding the place like I was saying. But for the moment, London and I have actually escaped from the guided tour. The guy is super friendly and awesome and everything. I love hearing the old stories. The problem is it's so hot out here and the buildings aren't exactly air conditioned. So once we were crammed into them with another family who I believe was from Louisiana, it was like a little too much. I was getting claustrophobic in there. Look at this amazing courtyard out here. Wow. Check out this general store. The store's so good, it's ranked above all the others. I was just talking about this the other day at Harold Warp's. It's amazing when they actually populate the general store with some of the old products. Look at all of these old roller skates. This particular general store, hey, look, it's those porcelain things again. I never found out what they were for. This particular general store looks a little more ghost towny because everything's a little more rusty gold, you know, patinaed. I don't know, let's see if we can go inside. Listen to that squeak. Come on in, London, check it out. Okay, you smell that smell?
Yeah.
What's it smell like? A little bit like cow feces?
Yeah.
That's because there is cow feces right here. You know what it was for?
What?
Fuel for the fire. Dried cow chips and buffalo chips. Since they're mostly made up of grass, you know, that's what they would dry out and burn in here. They even used to do it in the Middle East with camel dung. There wasn't exactly a lot of timber or forests around here for them to be burning wood and no coal around, so you burned what you could burn. Crappy as it was. Dude, look at all the products in here. I bet you're hoping that I buy your Christmas present from this place, aren't you, London? Aren't ya? No Xbox back then. This was your Xbox.
Look at the old cheese.
Ooh, wooden cheese. Look at this. You could buy milk and butter. You could buy yourself some 20 Mule Team Borax or Velveeta, or if you were really hungry, get yourself a rubber chicken. We were getting kind of frustrated and claustrophobic being with the group. You know me, I don't like to go with the group, with the herd, you know. I'm a loner, a rebel. I like to move against the grain. So we were getting a little claustrophobic because it's hot, right?
Yeah.
It's really hot out here. But honestly, the place is actually amazing. And like I said, it's literally like 2 minutes down the road from Carhenge. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for just a slight rise of ground, you would actually be able to see Carhenge from here off in the distance. Dude, look at this. This is my favorite. You know me, I love my pioneer history and I love my fake old western towns, but I've seen a lot of them lately. But it's been a while since I've seen an old-timey, early gas station. Look at this with the visible pumps outside. That's so you can see how much gas was physically going into your car. Some of these old oil cans and a big old oil pump. Wow, and look at the inside. This is amazing. Now this building definitely looks like it was dragged in here and is legit. And in a lot of rural places, this would have been your early Texaco station, your early mobile station, Standard Oil, etc., etc. Would have just been a little log cabin, a little lean-to style building, as small as possible. A couple of pumps, sometimes still a dirt floor, packed dirt floor. Just like this place is set up, as much old oil and automotive junk as you could slam into the place. Look at that, a couple of rolling benches there to get underneath and service tourist cars. You got some monkey grip vulcanizing patches, boat and trailer, marine grease, windshield wipers, tire repair kits, some spark plugs. Everything the early automotive traveler was likely to need, including local germs. This place doesn't look like it's been cleaned for a while. No, sir, no how.
That's the way we like it. We like it dirty in these parts, and if you don't like it, you can skid that on home. 23's could do with you.
All right, gang. Normally I hang around places like this a lot longer. But one, I have reason to believe I'll be returning to this part of the country eventually to see this place again. And 2 and 3 and 4, it's still really hot, and that guided tour is still together somewhere in a group. And they're gonna try to resorb us. And trust me, they're like the Borg. Resistance is futile. So we're gonna take a quick, fun pick.
Do we have to do this?
Of course we do. Fun pick! And then try to amscray while the amscraying's good. I am a little sad to leave, though. Kind of wonder what's going on in the old saloon tonight.
How's the game going over there, fellas? So far, it's going pretty good for me, but I keep losing. Well, I'm enjoying it. This is my lucky day. How you been doing, Mac? How's the wife? I'm doing fine, Mac. I really hate this job, though. Well, then why don't you quit, you old coot? I can't. No one else will let me spit all day. Ping! Plus, if I quit, who will take care of my son? I drink all day. Free. Yes.
All right, I am still heading towards home, heading towards California. Even though London is now with me, he's just here to travel home alongside with me during the rest of his summer vacation. And since he was grounded earlier, I'm sure he'd like to get home sooner rather than later so that he can play some video games before school starts, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're not going to be lingering too much longer out on the road, but we have at least one more epic adventure that we'd really like to pull off before we start going home in a straight line. And actually, if we're going to make it on schedule, we better get back in the car pretty soon, because now we're going to be heading towards someplace I have never been before in the whole course of my life. As you can see, with just a short drive, only 20 miles, the biome has completely changed. I mean, the landscape is totally transformed. We even drove by some little mini mountains. Didn't even know Nebraska had any of those. And now we've driven through a little summer rain to end up in the town of Chadron, Nebraska, where it's Main Street, USA all day long. London and I are both a little cooked from our hiking today and our seeing Carhenge, and a little bit brain flustered from our unexpectedly guided tour of the frontier town back there. So we've decided that this is where we're gonna call it a day for now. But tomorrow, just within range, just a few miles north of here, is an entire state I've never visited in my life. So far as I stand out here today, I've been to 43 of the states in the United States, 43 of 50. But tomorrow I'm hoping to make that 44. I really hope you guys will join me for that adventure. I really appreciate you joining me for this one. Do me a favor really quick, double check and make sure you're still subscribed. That's been kind of screwy lately. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next adventure. And then you, like London, Julio, and I, will have done your duty. Remember, all these trips are funded by Patreon. We have podcasts and other things depending on the membership there. Just like Carhenge, we've got sick merch like hats and t-shirts. But you know what? Let's talk about that another time. For now, we've all done our duty. It's time to motel and sleep well. Oh no, EJ's barbecue is closed? Must have been their no shirt policy. It got him. Look at this. Bonus ice cream party. Am I not the best parent you have? I'm at least the best dad that you have. 150%. the best. Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk? Ice creaming? We've done our duty. Also, side note, the first time I've seen Baskin-Robbins ice cream in the freezers anywhere, the whole way across the country from Virginia. The first time right here in Nebraska. We're back, baby. 31 flavors. I don't know what you got, but this is a jam. Hey, it has pineapple in it. What'd you just tell me about pineapple?
It eats you back.
That it eats you back?
Yeah.
Because why?
It's a flesh-eating enzyme in it.
It has a flesh-eating enzyme in it. Either you're wrong or you just told me something that's creepy. Does it know it's eating me? Was it an intelligent enzyme?
Nope.
I like how you're not even concentrating. You're like, can you please shut up? I'm eating chocolate ice cream.
I'm getting my face incredibly messy.
Messy face, messy face. What are they feeding you?
Stonehenge, where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well. Stonehenge, where a man is a man, and the children dance to the pipes of Pan.
Aw, London's first bordello. Fun pick with the lady of the evening.